As a bonus, I'll also show you how you can personalize your lures after you generate them. So, as we see, the lure that we created was for the Akira fishlet, and it has an empty hostname, a randomized path. It has no redirect URL or any other option. So what you can do to make it more enticing for the fished user to click, you may want to customize the hostname or the path to make it look as if you, for example, sent a file that you want them to download. So, for example, let's imagine a hypothetical scenario that you are trying to fish the user by sending them an invoice, let's say. So first thing you would want to do is change this randomized URL path, which looks really suspicious. So you type in lures, you type in edit to edit the options on the lure itself. Then you specify the ID of the lure, which is ID 0 in our case. And then you change it to whatever you want. Let's say we will have the path to say download / invoice / 00556. Sorry, I didn't specify the path. So now the path is set to download invoice 00556. When we type in get URL for our lure, you can already see that the path is correctly placed. But additionally to that, you can also change the hostname to whatever you want. It doesn't need to even say Akira Lab Evil Jinx. It can be anything you want, but with one exception, that it has to end with our fake phishing domain. So in our case, fake.com, the one that the main phishing domain that you registered for the domain hosting provider if you are testing in the remote deployment scenario. So for the sake of this demonstration, let's change this host name to this.is a real website, and we need to end it with the main domain fake.com. So when we now grab the URL again for our lure, we will see that it has a totally custom domain name. And if you are using Evil Jinx in the remote deployment, every time you set up a new domain, a new host name, the certificates for this host name, even the custom ones, will be automatically retrieved through Let's Encrypt. So you don't even have to worry about registering all these TLS certificates yourself. Everything will be done automatically. So now also let's see actually how to get it running. And the thing you need to remember that if you're testing custom host names in the local development installation in developer mode, you need to remember to set up the DNS firewall, the DNS host file yourself. So let's open Notepad as we did previously as an administrator. Let's open the host file. And we will add a new line to our host's configuration. And we will copy the new domain that we just created as the new entry. So essentially, we will point the new custom domain to our local IP address, the same way as we did with the previous domain, previous host name. So we save the host file. And now let's see if Google Chrome will recognize this domain. So obviously we clear all the cookies again. We type in the URL and you see it worked. It immediately redirected us to the main landing page URL, but essentially when the custom hostname triggered, it worked perfectly fine. So you can use this custom hostname later in your phishing emails, for example, so that it looks more enticing to click and more convincing. Additionally to that, we can also specify a redirect URL, and the redirect URL is the URL that will be opened for the phished user once all of the session tokens are captured. So this is a very good way to redirect the user to a file after the session is completely after the phishing session is captured. So let's say that we really want to present the user with the with the invoice file, like a PDF file or whatever. So what we will do is we will put in a redirect URL for this specific lure, and we will edit this one and specify redirect URL, and we will set the URL to, let's say, www.dropbox.com. This is entirely fake URL just for demonstration purposes, but I want to show you that whatever custom URL you want to redirect to can be specified here, and can be invoice one. So now you see that after for the training lab, the redirection doesn't work entirely because it was not set up properly by me. But for any other website that you want to use, like LinkedIn or Okta or whatever you want to use in the future, this redirection will work just fine. Even Dropbox probably. So this is how you can set up the URL redirection. And additionally to that, you can see that there are OG, title, description, image, and URL specified for the lure that you can also edit. And these are Open Graph settings, configuration for your lure. This is usually something that you can try setting up if you wanted to use social media or messenger applications to send out your phishing URL, because that will give you control of generating the preview images and description of the link that you are actually sending. Let me demonstrate it based on one of my websites that I have, like on my blog. So we'll open the website that actually shows us the previews of URLs, what are the Open Graph settings set up for them. And I'll just type in the URL of my blog. And here on the right side, you can see how it will look like when it gets posted on social media or messenger applications. So here is Discord, here is LinkedIn, here is Twitter, and Facebook. It will probably also generate the same thing on WhatsApp and so on. So if you wanted to change the Open Graph settings for the lure, you would just use lures edit, ID of the lure, OG title, for example, and you name it as invoice number 0045. And if you wanted to change the preview image, for example, then you would just change the URL setting, and you can just point it to any image that you uploaded on the internet. So if you wanted to upload to Imgur, for example, you just specify the ID like this. So this is essentially how you can customize your lures to look better when you send it out through various mediums. And another thing that we will discuss later is our custom parameters. So every lure that you set up can be set up with dynamic custom parameters that can be later digested by injected JavaScript that's present in your fishlet or in the redirectors that you want to use. This all will be explained in future lessons, but let me first show you exactly how easy it is to specify and send and generate the URLs with your custom parameters. So let's say that you want to pre-fill your phishing lure with the email of the user that you are targeting. So in our situation, it will be my own email. So you can set up a parameter in your fishlet, in your injected JavaScript or in your redirectors to email, and then you specify the contents of this parameter. And you can also set up the name. If you have spaces in the name that you want to use, just remember to use quotes. So then you can type in that the name is Kuba Gretzky. And you can see that the generated URL will be suffixed with a custom get parameter with encrypted content. And this parameter will be always different every time you generate it. So there is actually no way for any detection engines to fingerprint your phishing links by just analyzing the get parameters of your lure URLs. So this is very important. And later in future lessons, I will also show you how you can pre-generate a big number of these lure URLs automatically by supplying the input data from the JSON or CSV file. So stay tuned and see you in the next lesson.